Welcome to At the Table,
where we are connecting entrepreneurs, discovering missions, and building communities with purpose, body, soul, mind, and business with
Charlie
and Heather.
with Women in Leadership.
Welcome to the table. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we are always excited to show up and share this space and connect with more community leaders in our communities.
Today, we have a new friend who pulled up a seat at the table with us, Sarah Duran. She is an amazing entrepreneur, freelancer, coach, podcaster. She loves project management, and the name of her business is Fruition Initiatives. And I just can't wait to get to know her a little bit more. So take it away, Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here. I think that's pretty much the intro. I sort of wear many hats in my business. I run a project management, project strategy, business development business called Fruition Initiatives, where I spend most of my time being an actual freelancer, work with clients and manage projects. And then over the last several years, I sort of came to realize the joy and freedom that freelancing gave me and wanted to be able to help other people cultivate that a little bit more intentionally. And so I've been developing content. I have courses. I write a blog and a Substack. I have a podcast, and I run a coaching program for solopreneurs, so freelancers, consultants, and coaches, people that run pretty much one-person businesses, even though most of us have at least a couple of other side folks that help us out from time to time, but mostly solopreneurs.
Excellent. And for those who might be interested in working with you, what does that look like?
That's a great question. So right now, the coaching program that I run primarily focuses on solopreneurs who are at what I call a crossroads in their business. And so it took me some real soul searching to think about how I was going to narrow my focus for the people I work with. And what I've seen the most success that I have with people over and over again is people who come to me and say, I'm at this place. Usually you're between 5 to 8 years in your business, and or if it's cyclical, you're maybe 14 years in your business, because it keeps happening over and over again, is what I've learned. And they're I'm the work isn't doing it for me anymore, or the money that used to feel like enough isn't enough, or my systems are broken, I'm growing too fast. There's a lot of symptoms of being at a crossroads in your single person business. But the underlying feeling from all of them is what got me here isn't going to get me there. And I have to figure out how to fix this to keep moving forward. Some of them, God forbid, might be in a place where they're thinking about going back and getting a 9-to-5 job. So I know, no. And so I work with them to really think about, no matter who I'm working with in whatever stage of freelancing they're at, I really work with people to sort of rebuild the foundation of their business, starting with themselves. So especially when you're a solopreneur, thinking about your really knowing yourself is super important, because your business is built on you, your strengths, your dreams, your challenges. And so that's always where I start with people. And then we get to all of the symptoms. So after we think about the foundational pieces, then we're getting into what you would think of as typical business coaching, where it's okay, who do you want to work with? How are you structuring your services? How are you pricing things? How are you finding clients? How are you talking to them about selling them on your services? How are you structuring your business? What are the processes and systems that allow you to do your work? And so we get to all of that too. But we always start at a place where we're making sure that, especially when you're at a crossroads, you need to really dig deep to make sure that your business is giving you what you need. And sometimes that means rebuilding it and restructuring it to make that happen.
Ooh, and holding the hand and space for that kind of a growth, right? Because that can get real messy when
Yes.
you're really getting into that nitty-gritty.
Mhm. And then one of the things that I hear you talk about is building work that supports life and what that looks like.
Yeah, so that's why I always start with, so the three questions I always start with are like, they sound like simple questions. It's who are you? Why do you do your work? And what do you need to get out of it? And, or like, what do you want fundamentally? And they're simple questions, but almost always, and myself included, when you ask someone those questions, you would think the answer is like at the tip of your tongue, and it is almost never. You're like, but who really am I? Like, what do I really want out of life? And I think this is true no matter what kind of work you do, whether you work for someone else or not. It's just that when you work for yourself, you have so much more control. You can, especially as a solopreneur, because you're not also thinking about what does my work look like to support all these other amazing humans that help me do this thing. But specifically when you're a solopreneur, you have complete free agency to create a business that is 100% about you and about what you need to get out of your life in this moment. Because I think that's like another key piece of my like life philosophy is like things change, which again sounds obvious, but like I think all of us want to pretend that that's not true. Like, I'm just gonna fix it, it's gonna be this way forever and it's gonna be fine. But like, you change, your life changes, the world changes, the market changes. So building, I think the first step to building work that serves your life is deciding, again, those three fundamental pieces. Who are you? Why do you do what you do? And what do you need to get out of it? And then you build your business model around that. So if you want, my like example, although every time I give this example, my kiddo is like older than the last time I gave this example, and it like makes my heart hurt a little bit. But my example is like, I have I don't even know if she's a toddler anymore. She's like a kindergartner now. I have a kindergartner. And what that means for me is that I make concessions about money in order to prioritize my time. Because right now, my time is the most important thing in my time with her is the most important thing in my life. She needs so much of my time and energy. And I want to maximize my time with her while she still thinks I'm cool. And that might not be true. I think the counter example I always give, and maybe you two also have examples of this because I know your kids are older than mine, but that like one of my previous business partners, she had older kiddos, and she was like, I'm prioritizing money because I want to retire early. She's like, I'm going to be an empty nester in 2 years. I want to be able to like severely decrease my client load and like travel to wherever my kids are, like wherever they end up going to college, whatever they end up doing. She's like, I prioritize money because of this aspect. So it is just really being conscious and aware of, again, those three pieces. Like, what do you need to get out of your work, and how are you intentionally structuring your business to give you that? Because I mean, I have like a specific type of clients that I work with who have, they don't work as much in the summer, and that works just fine for me. So, you know, I guess a counter example would be like, if you want to be a digital nomad and like work wherever you want and not have to be on call all the time, maybe being like a 24/7 VA is not the right gig for you. So again, it's just like being really conscious about what do you need to get out of your work, and then building your business model really intentionally around that.
Oh, I love it.
I love that too. When you said that you make concessions, to trade time for money, right? That's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of questions might come up, or what kind of what's the words I'm looking for?
What filter do you run that through? Like, how do you get there? Like, how do you know that that's the most important one?
Or like,
because it shifts, right? Because
Totally.
when the kids are younger, like you're like, I want to be at home with them. They need me at home. They need me there. Versus, you know, I really want to be there sometimes. Like, you still like have to be, still have to make dinner.
Yeah, but then still protecting yourself accurately so that you're not, people don't want to come work with you because they think it's too expensive or whatever, but that's on them. So creating a value for the people that you work with while keeping your time value in place. And what does that look like?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, the answer is like complicated. The answer is subjective.
Right.
Because the other thing is like time and money are like, I think, two of the pretty obvious ones that like we all struggle with as entrepreneurs. But the other one is like the other like pieces of it in terms of like what you want and like what you need to get out of your work is like, I need to get X number of dollars out of my work, or I need to get meaning out of my work. I need to get this level of challenge out of my work. And that like all like from my like where I sit right now in like this phase of my life, it's a real balance between like the time and the money to be able to like also, you know, give my daughter the life I want to give her, and making sure that like I am a happy, content human being, because I can't be a good mom if like I actually am just like working for crappy clients that like pay me well but don't expect very much out of me, right? Or like the work isn't challenging but like it pays well. So it's like it's such a like conglomeration of, I mean, those are sort of the four things that I like always have people think about is like preference and skill, what do you like, what are you good at, and then like time and money. And then like I do have a system for like rating it with numbers and like adding things up, but ultimately it's subjective. And that's why you constantly have to be checking in with yourself on it. And that like, which is why I use like a short cycle planning methodology with my coaching clients and in my own life is like, if you're not constantly asking yourself these questions, then you wake up one day, like I've been there, and many of the people I work with, like I said, people that are at a crossroads in their business, you wake up one day and you're like, oh man, this has gone way off the rails. Like I didn't even notice. And you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, this isn't working anymore. And we all get there. Like even me, who's like, I have this methodology and I like it's much easier to do it with other people than it is to do it with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about the short time methodology. I was like, I've never heard that put together before.
So from a project management perspective, there's a couple schools of thought around this, but I follow what's commonly referred to as like an agile project management philosophy, where it's like you're working in like what they call short sprints. And so you're like, what is the next thing that we're going to do? We do it, and then we revisit what that means about everything else we planned on doing. And so I have very strong opinions about goals. I think that SMART goals are real stupid, and that people actually should be setting goals that are short, because again, life changes. Like many of us set these like long, this is what I'm going to do over the next year, or this is my 5-year plan. And like I think the last several years, 2020 in particular, taught us all that like that's crap, and like the world is unpredictable.
That's so cute. Right?
Oh, how cute.
But like that's always been true, right? It's like always true. All of the best things in my life, I never saw coming. I could have never planned for them. I would have never been like, in a year I will be doing this. And so
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I help people like set milestones. So like let's go back to like the who, the why, and the want. Let's think about like using that as our framework. What are some possible milestones that we might set for you over the usually I do that in quarterly chunks. And then you plan out a quarter. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you're revisiting monthly and quarterly, and you're planning out the next month and the next quarter as you go. Yes. Because like, again, we never know. We want to pretend that we know. And as a project manager and a type A person that plans my life, like wants to plan my life like 7 years in advance, I desperately want that to be true. And I just know that it's not. So being able to give yourself a framework to know that like you're still keeping tabs on it. You're not letting it get away from you, but like we really can realistically only plan like 3 to 6 months in advance.
Ooh, I love it. I love that because we've been doing that. That's like the action steps that we do. Literally, we sit down and we look at stuff like once a quarter. We ask the question like, did that work this quarter? And we get real brutal honest with each other. Like, how did that process go? Did that work good? And we talk about it. Like, and what's nice is that we have been up until now not just solopreneurs. We have each other, which is awesome. But we have different strengths, and that's what we love the most, is that our strengths are compatible. Our you know, our weaknesses and strengths, we lock in together. Like, so
it just works.
It's so awesome, right?
Yeah.
So I think the challenge as a solopreneur is to know those strengths so you can outsource those weaknesses, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Because even as a solopreneur, you have a team with you. You can have a full office staff. You have your bookkeeper, and you have
your accountant,
your social media team. You know, like you pick out. You know, you get to pick it though. And then if it's not working out, you don't have to worry about the legalities of firing your staff.
It is. It is.
Right?
Yeah, totally. It's I mean, yeah, I think like having other people to support you even when you're a solopreneur is like one of the main reasons that I do the work that I do. Because even in the coaching that I do, I've shifted over the last year to say that like I don't exclusively one-on-one coach anyone, because you have to also be part of a group. And so I have like a hybrid way that I do the coaching I do with people, because the group, like this work, especially this work where you're like thinking, you're not just thinking deeply about like lowercase w work, you're thinking deeply about like who am I, and like what is my capital W work to do in the world. And like you can't do that work even with a one-on-one coach. Like you have to do that work in community. And it's a lesson that the universe has been hammering home to me over and over again over the last year, where it's like, you can't, even if you're a solopreneur, you cannot do this work alone. Being a solopreneur gives you a unique skill set to be able to actually better support a community of your peers, because you're a doer, you're a go-getter, you know how to do it, you know how to take care of yourself. That means that inherently, like as soon as you start teaming up and supporting other people, that's where the magic happens.
Boom. Man, that magic is so magical too. I know. Like there's a community that we're a part of that has that similar magic. Like everyone is working together, and we come together as a community and accountability, and it's not like you have to do the thing. It's just having someone to proclaim what you want to be doing to. You said it out loud, and then they might ask you. They may never ask you, right? But it's like, okay, now I'm accountable to someone outside of me without realizing. It creates this really awesome bond. And so then you are more propelled and more likely to do the thing that was fearful or hard for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're looking so narrowly, like at a pinpoint, and you need to step back and see this big picture. And that's what a group does for you, right? Like, so I may be really, really focused on this one thing because I'm trying to meet this goal. But if I was to take a deep breath and have someone pull me out of my head, right? And really look at all these things you've accomplished along this way. Like, isn't that even the bigger gift? Right? Like, you're like, oh.
It is.
Community is so important.
It is.
I think it's all part of that building work that supports life, you know? Like you have to, live life, but you can't live life without community either.
Totally.
So
yeah.
When my son was 12, 13, I was listening to books, audiobooks while we were driving. And I listened to the 4-Hour Work Week. Have you read that? But
Yep, I think it's somewhere back there. Yes, it's there.
So it really talks about like doing the things you love, outsourcing the things you don't, and like how, you know, if you have a deadline, it's that last 20% push. So if you just do the 20% push and, you know, get rid of the other 80% of stuff, you know, life's more productive and fun, and you don't need to feel guilty about it. But then that also backfires on your kids when they know these things because they're like, no, not today, mom. That's on that day, and that's how we're doing it. You know, like, so be careful if you're listening to entrepreneurs. Your kids pick that stuff up quick.
Yep.
And you may not
That is like the
philosophy yet.
That is like the best parenting backfire ever, though, because you're like, oh no, like you really absorb, like they're using it better than you are.
Like, what? I can't really complain then, can I? Like, wow, dude.
Yeah.
There comes a point in time where your kids think they're smarter than you, then there's a point in time where they are getting it sooner than you did. Because you already like did the work and you show up every day and your kids just pick this stuff up, you know.
Yep.
Because literally to ask our kids to do something that we're not doing, we know doesn't work. Like, don't smoke cigarettes. I'm sitting there smoking cigarettes, so of course we all are cigarette smokers because our parents smoke cigarettes, right? Like, so, you know, way in the past, like way past, but like that was the example, right? So if we're leading with the example of, you know, being impeccable with our word, and then our kids see that, and then they are starting to be back. It's just like, it's such an awesome process to see, and then see how that trickles out to their friend groups, and like all these things start happening in the community. So that's where having your bigger work and knowing what that is before you, I totally see, before you build out your business.
Totally. Yep. And that's the ripple effect, right? You're like building your, like, I hope, although like I'm not totally sure how much she sees it. When my daughter last week, or a couple weeks ago before she left school, filled out, she's not a couple of weeks ago, in May. I have no idea what time and day it is.
Yeah.
And she filled out a thing for Mother's Day about like a whole questionnaire about your mom. And it was like, what does my mom do? And it was like, she works at home and at the gym. And I was like, well, she knows that I go to the gym a lot, and she knows that I work from home. But I think it is about that, like, it is this like modeling. My parents own their own business my entire life, and this like modeling of like, what does that look like to like step outside of the box of you. And again, no shade on that whatsoever, but like, you go get a job for someone else, you work, you put your 30 years in, you get your pension, you go retire. Like, what does it look like to think differently about that, and to decide like, I'm not gonna wait till I retire to do what I want to do, or do what I love, or have time to actually do anything. I'm gonna like live life right now, and I'm gonna design my life completely around like what that looks like for me. I'm not totally sure she's picking that up yet at 5, but like that's part of what I hope that I'm like modeling to her, is like, you can go out, you can make your life whatever you want. You have the power to do that.
That's awesome.
I also feel like as entrepreneurs, you know, leading the next generation of entrepreneurs, it's got that same like almost parenting aspect where they're gonna lead by the example that was set for them.
Yeah.
So today we are the examples that we are setting for others. Right
and
now.
I think research bears that out. Well, like maybe not the generation that we're parenting, but I think the Gen Zers, there's like statistics like they're the most entrepreneurial generation so far, in terms of like surveys asking them what they're going to do, and they're like, well, I'm just going to go start my own business, obviously. So it's already happening. It's already happening.
I love that. And then I love that you dropped my favorite word in there, and that's decide. Because that is like one of those super amazing things that when you realize that power you have to decide and stand up for what you know is right for your life, that's when life gets magical.
True. Someone said it to me, I can't remember who said it, a few weeks ago. They said, if you don't choose, someone else is going to choose for you.
Exactly.
And I was like, that is 100% true. So like that's like my work in the world is help people consciously choose their
Yes.
own work every single day.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Ah.
We're gonna leave it right
Yeah,
there.
we're gonna have Sarah back on the podcast. You just like drop those love for her because this has been fantastic.
Fantastic. Absolutely. If you would like to get a hold of Sarah, her links will be in the description for the podcast and the YouTube and the Buzzsprouts, all the places.
So work with, listen to, follow her, love on her, and please stay tuned for our cause of the quarter because, you know, as entrepreneurs, it is important to give back where our hearts feel it, and that's why we choose the cause of the quarter every month to support and make sure we're giving in our communities. And thank you all for joining us today. Namaste. Mwah.
Welcome to the table. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather, and together we are always.
The Marysville Police Foundation is a 501c3 organization to support these areas of the Marysville Police Department, law enforcement, officer wellness, and the community outreach programs and activities. We look forward to serving you.
We take the mystery and pain out of social media consistency for your business, giving you back time to shine in your zone of genius. Social media is the new branding. It deserves its own attention, thought, and effort. Yet so few businesses actually take this seriously and invest enough time on their strategy. We can do it for you at an affordable rate that will fit into your budget and allow you to pursue other revenue channels as well. The hardest part of social media management is keeping up the consistency to be seen and know what to post, when to post. Are you ready to have everything ready to go for you, saving you time and energy by not having to do it all yourself? Still getting your message out so that people get to know you, like you, and develop trust while opening yourself up to more time for the business of your business where you shine. Working with Women in Leadership, BSMB LLP, is a unique experience that bridges the gap from face-to-face to virtual relationship marketing. Not only do we love to help you shine on social media, we love to share tools to help you grow with us, body, soul, mind, and business. Check out our podcast and YouTube channel for Mindset Mondays, Social Media Training Wednesdays, business interviews and special topics on Fridays, and weekly readings on Sundays. To schedule your consultation or podcast interview, head to our website, www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. Our weekly readings on Sunday, our podcast, Mindset Monday, social media training with Heather on Wednesdays, guest interviews, and special topics on Fridays. Thank you for joining us. Find out more and schedule with us online at www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com, where you have a spot at the table. Thank you for joining in on the fun. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.